Hi guys, what's up? I am here today with another review video for a book I recently finished called Panic by Lauren Oliver. I definitely did not think I would like this book when I started reading it. I have read one other book by Lauren Oliver and it wasn't necessarily my favorite. I didn't find myself getting super attached to the characters and it took me effort to dive into the book, which I really dislike when happens. But I decided to give Panic a chance instead, and I was thoroughly impressed. Oh my god, this book is so good. And I need more of these characters and more of this world because it was super, 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 super awesome. So good. If you've read this book, I would love to hear your thoughts on it, or if you have any recommendations of books that are similar to Panic, I would love to read them. So let me know down in the comments below if you liked this book, if you disliked this book, if you have any books that are similar to it. I would love, 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 love to know. So for starters, Panic is a book that focuses on 4 main characters: Dodge, Bishop, Natalie, and Heather, although the story is only told from two perspectives, which are Heather's and Dodge's perspectives. This story follows these 4 kids and a group of the people they went to high school with as they play a game called Panic, which takes place in their small town. Now, Panic was originally started as a game because people were bored, essentially. So it's kind of a creepy way to quell your boredom, but I guess it works. I mean, scare the poop out of each other is a good way to not be bored anymore, I guess. So at the end of their senior year, kids are allowed to enter into the game Panic by jumping off the super high point into the water, I believe is what they do. It's just called the jump, and in order to be officially entered, you have to take the jump. And anytime after the jump, you can just be like, I'm out, I'm done, but you have to do that first step in order to get into the game. And if you win the game, you get a lump sum of money that's been accrued by you and the other people you go to high school with over your 4 years in high school. You have to deposit money every single day into this fund for Panic, and then you, the winner, get the money, and it's also divvied up to the 2 judges. The judges are secret though, which makes this whole process a little bit more interesting, at least for this story. Some of the things I really liked about this book was the game itself. I felt that it was inventive without being too crazy. Like, let's throw a bunch of small kids into this teeny tiny town and give them a creepy game to play, but we're not gonna make it too crazy because it still needs to be believable. I could honestly say that I could see something like this happening in a small town, which is a little bit frightening from my perspective. The other aspect of Panic that I really liked was the fact that you got so little for details about this game. The only thing you get at the beginning of the book is to enter you have to take a jump. There are 2 judges and the announcer whose name is Diggin. You win a sum of money at the end of it, and you can only do it once you graduate from high school. And the last one is that it's basically a game invented to see how far you can push yourself while getting the poop scared out of you. So you get 5 things of information, and then the rest of the information about what the tasks are, the fact that they have to do individual tests, and all of this other crazy stuff you get thrown in throughout the book, piece by piece by piece by piece by piece, and then you start getting the big picture of everything they have to do, which I thought was super, super cool. Especially in an era of dystopians where you tend to get all of the information at the beginning of the world, and then there are small little bits of world building pieces happening throughout the rest of the book, i.e. books like The Hunger Games, where you get all of the information about the games and then little things built in like the specialization that happens for each individual set of games. The second thing I really, really, really enjoyed about this book was the characters. Now, I've said before that I have found Lauren Oliver books to be on my scale of oh my god, it's fantastic, and no, I'm never gonna read this again. Ever, never. So I was kind of expecting these characters not to be super relatable and to be characters that I just didn't get attached to. I wasn't emotionally invested, and I just could care less if they won Panic or not. I was wrong. I found myself getting very attached to these characters. And Heather, especially Heather's life with her sister and her mom and Annie, and just all of the little pieces of her life that kind of come together, especially because I feel like out of all of the characters, she's the most inherently secretive. There are other characters who come along and surprise you. Bishop. Out of all of them, I feel like Heather ends up being the one that right from the get-go is kind of the most secretive of the bunch and reveals as little about her situation to her friends as she possibly can, because it's just going to be beneficial for her in the long run to stay pretty under the radar. The other character I felt getting really attached to, oddly enough, was Dodge, because the revenge plot with this one was strong. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dodge at the beginning started off as being a character when they threw him in that I kind of just saw as a very obvious love interest for Natalie, but it didn't stay that way, which I was really impressed with. Because when they brought him in as like, oh, this dude that helps save this chick from getting trampled by a ton of people, I definitely wasn't expecting him to be as intelligent and an immense part of the games as he was, because normally the love interest just kind of like floats on the side and does their own thing, which I like sometimes, but I probably would have hated in this book. I guess the last thing I really liked about this book was the world building that happened, because it takes place in a small town in New York City, I believe is where Carp is, but there is very minimal world building. You get the trailer park, Annie's, and then little bits and pieces as they go about the town for like where Dodge lives and where some of the challenges take place. But other than that, it is super, super minimal about your information that you get about the town. You don't get random side businesses, you don't get the businesses up on Main Street, you get Heather's, Dodge's, Annie's, a little bit of Bishop and Natalie's, but very, very minimal, and then you get just the challenges. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need any more. And I appreciated that the author didn't go over the top with the world building, because everybody can picture a small town in their mind, and you don't really need to be super in-depth when describing that to people. The only thing I guess that I didn't like about this book was the fact that occasionally I felt like I was getting there were some parts that were very drawn out. Like I could have probably done without some of this information, but to be honest, that was pretty minimal for this book. I have hit a really good streak of books lately where the things that I dislike are like me being really, really nitpicky. So those were my thoughts on Panic. I tried to keep it as spoiler-free for you guys as I could. I'm also going to start putting out book talks which are not spoiler-free on the same day that I put out my normal book review. So if you're interested in that, I will have a link in the description box to the book chat so you can get a full, in-depth discussion about some of my thoughts on the characters, specifically Heather, Dodge, and Bishop. So check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, share with me your thoughts on Panic and let me know if there are any recommendations you have that are pretty similar to this book, because I would love to hear it. Otherwise, thanks guys, bye!